This is where we're talking to Canadian entrepreneurs, those making an impact, to showcase what they're up to so that other Canadian entrepreneurs can learn from their stories and make an impact within their own business. You're tuning into Business with Chris. Today we have Giancarlo on the show. He's the co-founder of Blade Filters, and they create carbon filters for odor removal and filtration, and they primarily operate in the cannabis industry. And I actually know Giancarlo from university. He was one of the first people that I have met, and he started this company while still in school. I think they started in second year. We're out of university at the moment, and they have been doing some great things. So I am very excited for this show, and let's jump right into it. All right, Giancarlo, how you doing?
Hey, not bad, man. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. For everyone that doesn't know you, it would be good to give them an introduction of yourself, what you're doing.
Yeah,
So go right ahead.
yeah, sure. My name's Giancarlo Sessa. I actually know Christian from school. We met at university at Schuler School of Business. Um,
We before you continue,
yeah,
we were
yeah.
in the same frosh group.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What was it called? We did. It was like music groups at the time. We were the Pussycat
Oh
Dolls or
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. That's what we were.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh
be
man.
honest. I was on Instagram. I want to say like a couple weeks ago, and I was scrolling through like all my followers and like who I'm following, and then I came upon like the Instagram account that we had. It was like PCD or whatever,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my God, I'm like so many memories.
Oh my God, we had to do a dance and everything in front of
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was,
I remember
it was,
that.
yeah, it was probably the worst name we could have gotten, but
Yeah, yeah. No, other
uh,
people had some
it
pretty
was
cool
fun.
ones. I honestly I didn't mind ours because I thought it was pretty funny the stuff we could do with it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. But yeah, so now what I'm doing is so I actually co-founded a company called Blade Filters. So we actually created the world's first zero waste carbon filter. Now, most people don't really know what a carbon filter is or what it does. Essentially, what it is it helps remove something called a volatile organic compound, which in plain English is an odor. A couple other things, but mainly an odor. So we've been working on this actually since the end of second year, so 2017. And Since it removes odor, and in 2017 the cannabis industry was starting to get legalized, we thought, you know what? Let's tackle that industry. So we do a lot of odor control in the cannabis space. So kind of what differentiates us is that our carbon filter is actually the first and only replaceable one. So kind of what happened is, and I can get into the story later, but instead of having to replace the entire carbon filter when the carbon becomes exhausted, meaning it no longer removes any odors, all you got to do with us is replace the inner carbon cartridge. And by doing that, you actually, well, we save our clients anywhere from 20 to 30% in costs. We help them actually change the process of changing their carbon filters from 30 minutes per filter down to 2 minutes, and like some of these facilities run like hundreds to thousands of carbon filters at a time, so it's a big time savings. But I mean, the best part about all of that is zero waste. So we're taking a 100% wasteful process down to zero because we actually have a recycling program with everything. So that's kind of how we started with everything. And we'll get more into it later if you want about kind of what we're up to now. But we actually started something new when COVID hit because a lot of our cannabis projects were starting to get slowed down because people were getting laid off. They didn't have enough money. They were kind of worried about the future. Obviously, odor control is still necessary, so they're still doing kind of the minimum of what they have to do. But we saw everybody kind of going out of business and like employees not being able to come to work, and like being in the air filtration industry, we're like, hey, like let's put our heads together. Let's do something to help out since we all know COVID is pretty much transmitted by airborne particles, right? So all that aerosol transmission. So we actually added a new product line, which, like I said, we can go more into it, but it's an air purifier. So we help remove 99.97% of any airborne particulate matter, like COVID-19, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, and that is the project that's underway with Peel. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. So we've been working with a bunch of the different school boards to put air purifiers in their classrooms. So like we worked with the Peel Public School Board. We have an order right now going out to the Peel Catholic School Board, Waterloo, Hamilton, Grand Erie, a bunch of like the private schools in Toronto as well have all kind of wanted these units just to show they're doing their part to help protect their students and employees.
Yeah. Well, so how'd that come about? Did they
Yeah.
approach you? Did you approach them?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a funny story of how we kind of got into the school market. So pretty much what happened was we started this new thing. I want to say like March 2020, and we were like, okay, like let's put our brains together. Let's do it. Let's do something. Bunch of different models, bunch of different design concepts. Going through it, and let's say April, May we're like, okay, we have our design, we have the prototypes. Let's start like pushing the marketing. Let's start pushing sales. So we're thinking, we're like, all right, who can benefit from these things? And then, I mean, first thing you're thinking about is, oh my God, everybody, right? Everybody needs an air purifier. You have your restaurants, you have any type of store, like offices, doctors' offices, all that kind of stuff, right? So, I mean, we're like, damn, like let's just target everybody, which you soon to realize, and like we learned from a bunch of our marketing classes, is the way you don't want to go. You know what I mean? So, but anyways, we're dumb and we're blindsided, so we just did that. So we would be waking up at like 4 in the morning, and literally all over Toronto, all over Markham, everywhere. We printed out flyers, and before anybody got into work they would be surprised with a nice little flyer on the front of their business, right? Saying like, this is that, like, this is what we're doing. Like, let's work together. Like, the city of Markham recognized us. So we're like, let's go all over Markham first and just start plastering this everywhere. And didn't get the results we wanted, which is cool. I mean, it's fine. Like, everything for us is a learning step. So, uh, we take it like that. So, like, well, let's learn from our mistakes. So we went back to the drawing board and we're like, listen, like we're not getting the results we wanted. Now why is that? Well, I mean, COVID-19 hit. People are out of business, especially restaurants. They honestly probably gotten hit the worst. Um, okay, we got to go after the guys who probably have some cash that they can spend. Because I mean, not everybody can spend like $1,000 to $2,000 on an air purifier, especially when they're not making
Yeah,
any
that
money.
would be definitely difficult for places
Yeah.
like restaurants. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And so we're like, okay, like medical facilities, like doctors, they just rake in money 24/7 and they still have to be open anyways, right? So we're like, okay, let's narrow it down a little bit more. And I mean if word of mouth spreads and we get into restaurants, like yeah, like definitely like we'll give it to you, you know what I mean? Um, so we actually started reaching out to the private schools in Toronto and we saw some good traction there. People started like placing orders, and we're like, okay, this is good. And then what we did is we were kind of thinking big picture now. Private schools are great. There's limited numbers, and I mean it's only like single locations. So we started reaching out to the school boards. So like made lists of all the school boards in Ontario, and basically started reaching out to all of them and we didn't really see much success in the beginning. So, like for example, we were reaching out to like the trustees, the maintenance guys. Sorry, I think the guys were like yelling in the back. I don't know what the heck's going on back there. I don't know if you can hear it, but
It's a busy office. That's what that is.
yeah, yeah, they're just working in the back. So pretty much what happened was when we were like talking to the school boards, they were like, thanks, like great information. However, we follow what the government says, and unfortunately, like they're not saying we need this right now. Like we're doing what we need to do. Um, so I'm like, cool, thanks. Um, Kept reaching out to the private schools. And then one day when I was like working, I had CP24 on in the office here, and I saw that the government released funding for improving air quality in the schools. So I'm like, perfect. Like this is my opportunity. Called one of the guys that said like, hey, like if they release funding, like we'll do something hopefully. So I called him up right away. I'm like, hey, like I don't know if you saw this, but right in the news right now, like they just released funding. Like give me a call back. And then like within 10 minutes, he gave me a call back, and he's like, yep, just saw that. He's like, send me this, this, and this, and then we'll go from there. Um, so that's kind of like when things really started to pick up. We started reaching back out to everybody because this new opportunity was around. And so how the schools work is that it's actually a bidding system since it's a public company, um, well like a government funded company. So everything goes through bidding. So basically, what happened is like they'll release a bid, and you just literally like state your price, state like your delivery time, specifications, all that good stuff, and then they pick the people who best meet the criteria they're looking for, and that's kind of how all that stuff kind of happened.
Wow. I mean, congrats on that. That's huge. That's
Yeah,
huge.
yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely
For
fun.
your business, for the schools, right, with the air quality and all of that.
Yeah,
Our
yeah,
schools are closed right now in most areas, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're
Yeah.
pretty much online learning right now.
Yeah, yeah, online learning. But once I get in there, that's I mean, definitely a good thing to have to,
Yeah,
stop
exactly.
the prevention of
Yeah.
all that. Going back for a second, that story. Um, how many things did you have to try before you were like, okay, let's focus on schools? Like you did the flyers and all of that. How did you think, okay, let's talk to these the Markham?
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, the reason why we started in Markham was because the city of Markham recognized us for like kind of like the efforts. So we just like kind of used that to our advantage. That's why we started out there. And the schools was just like an avenue because like private schools, they get like crazy funding. And that was like the real reason towards that. And I mean, like to be able to like protect like the youth and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's like one of the big things, honestly, is that we noticed that the classroom sizes were not really going down. So to have like 20 to 30 kids in a classroom, um, and like you're not even allowed to have like 10 people in a group anywhere else, didn't really make much sense. So we're like, they desperately need some help.
Yeah, definitely difficult to social distance 6 feet apart when
Yeah,
you've got
yeah,
20 kids in a classroom. Oh man.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, so it's kind of just like a kind of like a no-brainer for us, but we're just kind of testing the waters everywhere. And whatever just like really like was biting, we would go after it.
Okay, let's go way back to
Yeah,
the origin story.
yeah, yeah,
How did you get going? Who are you working with? How
yeah,
did you guys come together?
yeah,
Go
yeah,
for it.
man. Definitely. So, 2017, so end of second year. So there's three of us that founded the company. So it was me, Aiden, and Joe. Aiden and Joe are brothers. Aiden went to school with us. So
Yeah.
Aiden's brother Joe is 2 years older, so he was born in 95. He studied engineering at Ryerson. Now, studying engineering was very stressful. So the way he would cope with the stress of school was that he loves to grow tropical plants. And yeah, yeah. Sorry, can you hear them in the back or no? Are you good?
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. I'll see what
Okay,
I could do in post
okay.
production, but
One
yeah,
sec.
just keep
I'll
going.
tell them to be quiet. Hold on. Give me two
Okay, okay.
seconds. Okay,
Yeah, we were talking about tropical plants, and
that's it.
by tropical plants,
Tropical
what do
plants.
you mean? Yeah, what do you mean?
No, no. See, he was actually growing tropical plants. So it's actually funny. So that's like one of the big things. So he was actually growing like lychees, all that kind of stuff. Now, being in Canada, in the winter, there's not enough light and heat to always grow your tropical plants. So he had to buy something called a growth locker to be able to do this. Now, being a student, couldn't really afford a growth locker, so he's like, you know what? I'm an engineer. I'll build one. And when he was building it, he noticed that the carbon filters were one of the most expensive and wasteful elements of it because you had to constantly replace it. So he were growing, so he was doing this, and then he was asking his friends. He's like, "Is there no like carbon filter that just replace the carbon since that's the only thing that really needs to be replaced?" And they're like, "No." So that's kind of like when the light bulb went off in his head, and he's like, maybe I can make one. And so he came up with the idea there. Then he went to Aiden, and then with the idea, and then Aiden came to me, and we're like this sounds pretty interesting. We're like, let's do a little bit of like research on it. So we were calling these stores. They're called hydroponic stores. So they supply like grow supplies all over. So we called about like 75 all across Canada, and we're kind of just asking like feeling out the market. Like, is this something you guys might want to see? Like, would you pay a premium for it? And they were all like, yep, 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 100%. So after like that initial market research, we were like, you know what? Like, let's do it. So we kind of went full board right into it, designed, so I guess like the process was we designed some prototypes of it. From the prototypes, we started doing a bunch of grants. So, being in the manufacturing industry and especially as students, it's hella expensive, any manufacturing company. And then being students doesn't help since we pretty much have like zero money. So we started applying for grants, like through the university. So we did like York grants, like Ryerson, all over the place. We ended up raising about $85,000 in grants.
Wow.
And from there, yeah, so from there we did a couple more like renders of the prototype. Then we filed for a patent. And once we filed for the patent, we're like, okay, what's next? Like we really got to like get this going. So we did our first round of investment, brought on a bunch of strategic investors, raised about 350,000 in 2018. And maybe it was 2019 we did that. Yeah, 2019 in about March we raised we closed that round. So raised about 350,000, and that's when things really started to pick up. So we started doing like pilot programs, like doing a bunch of like trade shows, like in the cannabis industry, really getting the brand out there, pushing the name, pushing the idea around. Like people were loving it. It's kind of like one of those things like, why didn't nobody think about this before? Like one of those ideas. Um, so we were doing like a bunch of trials with like the big cannabis companies. Because like the thing with odor control is that it's mandatory and it's heavily regulated. However, you need to make sure that it actually works. Otherwise, if we like fill a facility and like shit doesn't work, then they're in trouble, right? So
Of
we did like a
course.
bunch of
Can we,
pilot programs. Yeah,
let's go back a sec
sure.
before that.
Yeah, yeah.
So if there's were those grants specifically for companies in the manufacturing space?
Nope, 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 nope. Any type of company. So we did at York University, we did the Accelerate Up program. So how the Accelerate Up program works, it's basically a program, you apply to it and they take a certain number of companies, and there's three stages in that. So they basically teach you like everything from like A to Z on how to start a company. And then like there's like different grant opportunities. So the first stage, there's the opportunity to win it's like 5,000. The second stage is I think like 8,000, and then the third stage, where only one company wins, is 25,000. So we ended up winning all three of those. They had the same thing at Ryerson University, but that was through something called the Norman Esch. And we won all three of those stages as well. And then like we did like a bunch of little grants and like little competitions like here and there.
Okay. And then when it came to finding investment, how'd you go about that?
Yeah, honestly, dude, it's all about your network. Like everything in business is just use your network, like find new people. Like what I would do honestly is if I saw like a company or something that I really liked or I wanted to get into, or like say like an investment firm that I wanted to talk to, I would like look, okay, who works there, like who's on the board, and then I would search them up on LinkedIn, then I would see who they're connected to, who I know, and kind of just like dropped down to the point where I finally got in contact with them. So a lot of the like investors that we found were like people that we met at like different events. Couple of the people we've met at Schulich. And it's kind of just like just keeps building like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess with your idea too, if it's the first of its kind within the
Yeah.
industry, people take note of that, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's one of those ideas where like, wait, why has no one done this before, right? So when you have a product, a service, whatever it is
Yeah.
that's like that, I feel like that will definitely gain traction, and
Yeah,
people are going to be like, "Oh wow, okay, this could make an impact here.
yeah,
This is an asset. Oh, you have a patent as well. You filed for a patent, so now it's protected as well,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So all those sorts of things. So
Yeah,
that's really awesome, and kudos to you guys because that's those are big moves while still in
thank you.
university.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely fun. And kind of like you said, like it's literally all building blocks. It's like, okay, to get here, we need to do this, this, this. Okay, now that we're there, like, what's next?
Exactly. Exactly. And so you went to go on with the trade show. Like so the way you got your product out there first was by being set up in trade shows, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we did like pretty much every cannabis trade show that you could think of. So whether we were walking it, like going, like actually like having a booth, like we've done both. Like we've gone to trade shows obviously all over like the GTA, Vancouver a couple times for trade shows, Vegas, all that kind of stuff.
So in cannabis, I mean,
Hmm.
there's a lot of different regulations and
Yeah.
all of that. How like what were the things you had to look out for at the beginning, or because you're a manufacturing
Hmm.
company, you didn't really have to um, like
Yeah.
you're not producing
No,
cannabis, right?
no.
So how are
So
the regulations with that? Yeah.
yeah, so like we're not mandated by any like of those cannabis regulations. Um, Pretty much what we got to do is like make sure we work and make sure we do what we're supposed to do. So we got lucky in that sense. Like I mean, for us, ever since the beginning, it's all about like provide a good quality product and everything else will follow. So that's kind of like the standard we've always kept, and luckily we just always live by that.
Yeah. What was the biggest struggle for you or you guys
Mhm.
when you first started?
Honestly, being young. So being young guys, like pushing this like air filtration, like carbon filters, like what the hell? Like how do you guys get involved in that? You know what I mean? Like it's not something that you just wake up one day and like, oh, I'm passionate about carbon filters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really just like just being young, and I think that was a big hurdle that we definitely had to overcome and deal with a couple times. So I always tell this one story of actually a couple stories. Actually, it happened with one of our investors where like we walked into a meeting. Actually, I'll give the one. So we were out in BC. We were meeting with a distribution company, and the guy like flat out told us like this has happened a couple times where like after the meeting, he's like, honestly, like when you guys walked in, I was yeah, like whatever, like a couple of young guys, like carbon filters, like what do they know? And then he's like, then you guys opened your mouth and started talking, and like you guys really know what you're doing and like what you're talking about. Like you guys have a great product, and like you guys just seem so confident behind it. And that's really what it is. And just like you know what you're doing, be confident in what you're doing, even if you're young. Honestly, it doesn't really matter because to be honest, like we probably have more push and like more drive than a bunch of those guys do. And like we know our goal and like we're determined and like we're not gonna stop for anything till we get there. Um, so like that happened at the distribution meeting. It actually happened at a trade show once where we were doing a pitch competition there. So we flew out to BC to do a pitch competition at one of the cannabis trade shows. Um, and it was like a bunch of like industry experts on the as the judges, and like they were amazed. And even like with one of our investors too, like when we met with him, like at first, like it was just like a first meeting, he like didn't really think much about it, and like that we were very young too, and then he ended up investing.
Wow. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's got to be refreshing, right? To
Yeah,
hear that, especially from that guy, when you walked in and he was like, he's like, who are these kids,
yeah,
right? And I mean
exactly.
that just I think that goes to show that it really does not matter
Yeah,
like how old you are, right? If you have something of quality, if you have something you that will actually bring value to someone, that
yeah.
is something that people are going to get behind, and it really it really doesn't matter how old you are. If you're still in school, none of that matters, right?
Yeah, honestly, just being able to like portray your vision and show what you believe in, that's really what matters. Because like once you do that and you're able to do that and share your vision with other people, everything else really aligns. And like even like the great leaders, it's all about like being able to communicate what you see with others, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so if you could go back
Hmm.
back in time, it's second year,
Yeah.
Giancarlo. What what would you tell yourself? What would
Honestly,
you maybe do differently?
yeah, I mean, like we look at it every day, and like we just recently moved into this new office, and like we're just thinking about it. It's like for the longest time, like this is just like little things like that, like having our own space. It's always been such a goal, and like just to finally like be there now, it's like we're just so amazed and like so proud of everything we've accomplished. I mean, going back and like if we were to do things over again, um, I think it's more like the little things. Like you could always push harder, um, like do things like that. But I think the biggest thing, and like even if I go back, it's really not going to change about this point. But I think it's being organized and being prepared and not leaving everything to the last minute. Like even here now, like the guys in the back, like they're working on an order that needs to go out tomorrow, and it's Sunday at 1:30. So just trying to get all that stuff and like trying to get the pieces all together a little bit earlier so we're not as pressed on time. But it's just that's the life. Like that's what we signed up for, and like unfortunately some things like can't really like speed up as much as we can. But yeah, just try to be more organized and give ourselves more time.
Yeah, so because you're in manufacturing, you need to get pieces from this other,
Yeah,
I guess, other
yeah,
manufacturer,
yeah,
this supplier, right? All the
exactly.
materials, all the components that come
Yeah.
together. So how do you go about managing that so that it's on time?
That's see, that's exactly the struggle, right? So like for example, our HEPA filters, um, you have the metal coming from a certain guy. Then the metal from there goes to the guys that do all like the work to shape everything and do all the weldings. Um, so then that goes to paint, and then paint comes to us. But in the meantime, we also got to order the HEPAs. The HEPAs come from the States, so that's got to come here. And then all the little like the hardware pieces, those come from different suppliers. Like the casters, that comes from a certain guy. The carbon, that comes from a different person. So it's a bunch of like little pieces that come together, and you just got to be able to try to plan it as best as you can and have a couple different options open.
Yeah, of
Don't
course.
rely
And,
on
and
one
when you
guy.
first that is fair. Have multiple suppliers, right? How about when it comes to uh I just lost my train of thought here. But okay, so you have yeah, oh yeah, getting started.
Yep.
Um do these companies do they supply you with samples and all those sorts of things, or how do you go about that when you're starting this
Yep.
filter?
Hmm. Yeah. So like, do we provide guy samples? Is that what you're saying, or like?
Would the manufacturers that supply you or the suppliers that supply you, would they provide samples? Like, how do you get a prototype going? How do you get all
Yeah.
of that stuff
So
sorted?
so like what we did is like whenever we do like our prototyping for like any new products, like we use one person, and like what we'll do is like we'll look at like different suppliers, and like pretty much what you got to do is like do your research, like learn different types of metals, different types of materials. Like there's so many different things that you can do, and kind of just um try to narrow it down and like figure that in the back end. And then we go to one guy who's like a very good craftsman, and then he'll help us actually build the initial prototype, find out any problems we have, and then we'll go back to the drawing board. And it's a constant like improvement. So like for example, with our HEPA units, we've gone through like since March, we started with the idea. We've gone through like 4 or 5 different like iterations, and it's gone from like 5 feet tall down to like 3 feet now.
When it comes to growing your business, have the trade shows been the best way that you've been able to do that?
100%. Honestly, most of the clients, like our big clients, really, um, we met them at trade shows because like everybody's there. Whether like the big players, like they'll be walking to see like the different booths, but like just the amount of people that you meet there, it honestly, like I was saying before, it's all about networking. Like you got to be able to like meet new people, talk to them, and just like start a conversation, see what they're up to, and then one thing leads to another. They're either going to be a customer or they know someone that could potentially be a customer, and it all works like that. Like for us, our mentality's always been like building a relationship with everybody. So like a lot of guys get greedy and it's kind of like what's in it for me versus us it's kind of like yeah like let's all work together. I know someone who can benefit you. Let me put you in touch with them, you know what I mean?
If you were to give other entrepreneurs, those that are grinding,
Yeah,
they're working on their thing, no matter where they are in the process, what kind of tip would you give them?
honestly, number one thing is just try it. Like don't be afraid of failure. If anything, failure is a great thing as long as you learn from it. So like ever since high school I've kind of been starting like different companies all the time. um, just like new things, just trying stuff out. Whenever I see an opportunity, just go for it. Um, because the worst thing that can happen is that you fail, but as long as you learn from that and you try to get further the next time, that's the best thing. So kind of how I look at it is even like as I mentioned before, like building blocks in your own company. But what we used to do is like we would start a company and be like, okay, we got to this point here, and unfortunately didn't go well after that. So the goal of the next company is to get here. You know what I mean? So it's
Hmm.
always trying to get one step ahead, and really the only way you're going to do that is, I mean, hey, if you succeed like crazy on your first attempt, like hats off to you. That's amazing. But unfortunately, the reality is that won't happen for most people, and you kind of just got to keep going and just try to get further.
Yeah, for sure. That so you're in a partnership with two others, right?
Yeah,
Aiden and what was
Joe,
Aiden's brother's name?
Joe.
Joe. Aiden and Joe. How do you guys split up responsibilities? How is it working with partners?
Yeah.
What's the dynamic there?
Yeah, no, I mean, so Joe's pretty much like on the technical side, so he runs like the design teams, all that kind of stuff. Aiden and I are obviously on the business side. And to be honest, like in any company like this, you're wearing multiple hats. So even if we do have like specific roles, everybody's kind of doing everything. And that's the reality of it. Sure, like we have like different people to help us do with different things, but like we're pretty much all over the place. Like whether we're doing sales or we're dealing with lawyers or we're dealing with accountants, um, it's kind of a mess. Everybody's doing kind of like everybody's helping each other out. Yeah, I mean like we all have the same goal at the end of the day, and we all have the same vision for the company. So we're all gonna work together no matter what to get there.
Yeah, of course. What's I've been wanting to ask this question.
Yeah.
What is a resource that has been really valuable to you,
Hmm.
that you've been able to use within your business, whether it's a person, a book, whatever it is.
Yeah. That's a
What's
that's a
something
great
that's made
question.
like a really big impact?
Honestly, so for me, and I know Aiden would feel the same way, is the biggest aspect, I think that really pushes us and like gets us into the good mentality is our morning routines. So I personally love the book. It's called 5 a.m. Club. Um, and like Aiden and I, we're both up like fairly early, like 4:30 to 5, and then we each have our own morning routines that we kind of go through. So whether it's working out or meditation, like yoga, whatever it is, kind of just doing that same thing every day and like really enjoying it and having that time to yourself before the day really starts is crucial, and I think it's very important for everybody. And a lot of people kind of overlook that. And I've always been someone who wakes up early no matter what, because I find I'm most productive in the mornings. So to get that extra edge and like to be able to wake up early and get started very early, by the time like lunch comes, you're like, oh my God, like it's only like it's noon. I've gotten so much done. Like yeah, the entire day left too, and you're like you feel so accomplished.
That's good. I think a morning routine, especially for me as well, like it just
Yeah,
sets the day off right.
yeah,
I want to go. even deeper. I want to go
Sure.
even deeper. Give us your perfect morning routine.
Yeah, so for me, so what happens is I'll wake up like 4:30 to 5. First thing I do lately now is I'm trying to get into yoga. Um, Take some time, but
No, me too. Actually, me
yeah,
too.
yeah, you too.
Because yeah, I do quite a bit of running,
Yep.
and my lower like leg, the area below my calf, has been like hurting. So
Mm,
this past week, I've done yoga, and
yeah,
the next day, I didn't have that pain
better.
in the same way.
That's
So
good. Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's
that's why I'm
really
trying
good.
to. Yeah,
Yeah. So I
but yeah,
know.
keep going, keep going.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. So I know Aiden likes to work out in the morning. Personally, I don't like to actually do a full workout in the morning. If anything, what I usually do is like intervals in the morning. So whether it's like intervals on a bike or like on the treadmill, and then I'll go straight into yoga. I'll do that for a little bit, and then after I'm done my yoga, what I'll do is I'll do some meditation. So I think that's my favorite part of the morning, really. Um, so I'll do my meditation, um, and then from there, excuse me, um, what I will do is I like doing affirmations. So that's really cool. It's all in the 5 a.m. Club too. That book is it's really great. So I do my affirmations. I have like a vision board, a lot of like visualization, that kind of stuff. Um, and then I'm kind of just like I'll make my coffee, and then as I'm drinking my coffee, I kind of have like a journal that kind of plans out my day, and I like to look at that stuff in the morning and just get organized. And then just take like a couple minutes to relax, drive into the office. I'm in the office by like 7:15 ish, um, before anybody comes in. So just relax for a couple minutes and then get started.
Yep, that sounds like a very productive day. Definitely more productive than than most people. In the at least in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Because how do okay? So when you're getting to the office, what you're waking up at 4:30, you're getting to the office at 7 something. How do you find your day? How do you productivity wise? How do you find it in the afternoon?
Yeah. Once lunch hits, it's a downward slope. Um, so that's honestly that's what I find. So the reason why I really like to start everything so early is one, like I said, I'm most productive in the morning. So like if I need to get stuff done that requires like full attention or even like some good thinking, that's like one of the first things I'll schedule for the morning. Any important meetings I like to do latest 10 o'clock, because that's when I feel like I'm on my A game. Even like when I was at Schulich, like people would be like, "Oh my God, like you want 8:30 classes? Like, are you crazy?" Nah, like I love it. Like that's when I'm on my top. And then like once everybody starts coming in, into the office, and then I like to talk, so I'll start talking to everybody, and like I'll get so distracted. Um, and yeah, so like honestly, like once lunch hits, I feel like I get lazier, really in a way. Um, or like I'm just kind of like waiting a little bit, you know what I mean? Like finding excuses, like trying to talk to guys or you know what I mean? Like especially like the guys in the back, like I'll just like go back there and be like, "Hey, like what's up?" You know what I mean?
I mean, hey, that's all good stuff. If you're really productive in the morning, then I feel like you can, later on in the afternoon, you could
Yeah.
obviously still do things, but take
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
You've accomplished so much, right? So you
Yeah.
probably feel like, yeah,
Exactly,
that's awesome.
exactly. I mean, really the only way that will really push me in the afternoon sometimes is after lunch. I usually have an espresso, and then after the espresso, it gives me like an hour and a half of a quick boost. And then after that, it's just waiting to go home. Which
Yeah.
usually, like,
Well, yeah.
honestly, dude, like, we usually don't leave here till like 7:30, usually, in the evening. I mean, like, try to skip traffic, but like, we just love being here. Like it's our life. Like, well, we wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, to be honest, like, we see everybody like our age, like, having these jobs, like, getting their CPAs, because like, I was full on track to do my CPA, like, signed on with PwC at the time. Like, that was like my mentality, and then just like seeing this opportunity, I was like, can't let it pass by. Like, this is what I really love.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I think that it's amazing that you got that opportunity because
Yeah,
sometimes people don't, or they say they're going to start something and then they're in this
yeah,
job now, and then they're like, okay, I'm making this money, and I can't just leave my job and
Yeah.
start something because, where's this money going to come
Yeah.
from? And then they're working long hours, and then they're like, where do I
Exactly.
even start this company, right? So I think,
Exactly.
I mean, it seems like it worked out very, 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 very well. The timing
Thank
was
you.
awesome.
Yeah.
What's next for blade filters?
So what's next is so we've been pretty much dominating Canada. That's where we've been like attacking. Next is going global. So like right now, for example, like we're looking at the US, a bunch of the like places in the Caribbean. Um, we're out in like looking in Europe, have a bunch of calls out there. So it's just going global, like always expanding, and like COVID was a great example of like we're just looking for new opportunities as well, just building out the team as well. So that's a big thing now. So we're trying to bring on more guys, so like engineers. We're looking for like an HVAC engineer. We're looking for like anything like an airflow. We're looking for a mechanical engineer, as well as another chemical engineer to bring onto the team. So it's a lot of expansion.
Yeah, for sure. How many guys do you have working for you currently?
So right now there's, let me count, three, four, five. So we have five guys that are here all the time. And then some of our investors are actually pretty much here all the time because they're retired, but very, very, very smart guys. And like, if they want to help and work with us, like by all means, we're not going to deny it. So like for example, one of our investors is when you go to Tim, I always tell everybody this because I think it's just so cool. So when you go to Tim Hortons and like McDonald's and they make a coffee and like you have like the cream and milk machine there and they press the button and it comes out in like different amounts. So he's the
Yeah.
guy that invented that and sold it to all the Tim Hortons and McDonald's. So
Wow. Okay.
very smart engineer. Like the even a business mind. Like he's amazing, and like we adore him, and like we just any input that he has, we're just taking it in. So like he comes here like I'll say like every other day now, because he's just like working with us and like helping us out, and we love having him here.
That sounds amazing. That's definitely some good experience
Yeah,
to have
yeah,
right next to
exactly,
you. That's
exactly.
all. So is that all of the McDonald's and Tim Hortons in Canada, or
Well,
just
he's got the
worldwide?
patents for it, so I think it's worldwide.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn. Okay, yeah. That's that's good. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
That is very amazing. Well, Giancarlo, it's been a pleasure. It's
Thank
been a
you,
pleasure
buddy. I
catching up,
appreciate it. Yeah.
and I've kind of known what you've been doing more so from afar, but now I'm really happy that I got to get into it with you. So yeah, thanks again. And if someone wanted to reach out to you or Blade Filters, where would they go?
Yeah, they can check out our website. It's bladefilters.com. From there, they can see the carbon filters, or they can go to our actually, they'll be connected to our HEPAs, which is called Blade Air. So for the air purifier unit. So they can find the links on the website as well. And then if they want to get in touch, they can find me on LinkedIn, Giancarlo Sessa, or even just pop a message on our contact us on our website, and it'll go to me.
Well, perfect. Again, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
Um,
Appreciate it.
Dude, enjoy the rest of your day. Okay.
You too. See ya.